Hey guys, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be looking at how you can use some of the tools in Premiere Pro to create a little project in 5 minutes. So as you can see here, we've gone into the actual Premiere Pro program, and it can be quite daunting. We've got a lot of windows in front of us. The first window that we're probably most interested in is this one down the bottom, which is our timeline. Inside of our timeline, you'll see that we have this blue line. This is what we call the current time indicator. This current time indicator is allowing us to scrub up and down the actual timeline to where our video footage will go. And as you can see, I've got some clips in here already. So how do we get those clips in? Well, down in the bottom here, we've got our projects area, and this is where we can add clips that we've taken externally. We can put some audio and other sequences as well. So as you can see, I'm just clicking here and I can add a number of different things. If you want to do it on the quick, you can just double click on the area here and you'll find that the File Explorer window will open up and you can choose your video clips that you might have done on your video camera or somewhere else. So you can just click on them. I've already got this in my bin already, and then I'm going to click OK. As you can see here, I'm just moving my mouse cursor left and right, and this just gives you a bit of a preview of the video at certain points. So in order to drag get the video inside of our timeline, we just quite simply drag it over into the timeline. Now that we've got our video on the actual timeline, you can see that we've got quite a long video here, and we have the corresponding video and the audio. As we do in Photoshop, you'll see that we have a number of different video layers. This video layer is on the top, so therefore the video on the top kind of overshadows ones underneath. So in order for us to make it that we can see the bits and pieces underneath, we quite simply click on the video clip itself and then go up to the effects control in our edit area. If this isn't displayed, all you need to do is click on the Windows option and then go down to where it says Effects Control and Effects. Make sure these are checked. So once they're checked, you'll see that we go inside of the effects controls and we have a number of different things that we can play around with. Some of them are scale, some of them are positions, rotation, and so on. The first one we're going to look at is the scale, and as you can see here, we can just click inside and add a value if we want to, or if we click and hold and drag to the left and right when we see the arrows coming outside of each way of the finger, you can move the scroller up and down and you can scale it accordingly. Similar thing with the X and Y positions on the position element, or if you want to, just click on position and we can then see that we've got our handles around the video and we can drag it to wherever we want it to be on our main output window. So as you can see here, we've got quite a long video. I only want the first section of it, so I'm going to click on the first of our important tools, which is the razor tool. The razor tool is very useful. It allows us to trim up the sequence itself to however long we want it to be. This is very similar to how they used to do it in the olden days with a physical film. They used to use a pair of scissors to cut up and then seam them together so that they did their edits. Here we're going to use the software to do that, and you can see once I've clicked on it, we do in fact have two separate clips. If it is that you want to zoom right in onto the timeline, we can click on the handle for the actual scroller at the bottom, and you can see that we can zoom in slightly. This will allow us to zoom in on the timeline and go down to almost frame by frame sequences. So now that I've done the edit, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to use the second of our tools, which is the selection tool, to select the sequence that we don't want anymore. So you can quite simply just click on the clip and then you should be able to select the delete and then it's gone. Now notice when I move this video clip, it moves the corresponding audio up and down with it. This is very useful, obviously, if we've got any dialogue over the top of our video. But in this instance, we've got a lot of server noise, and actually we don't want it. So what we can do is we can click on the audio clip itself and then unlink it from the video. So as you can see here, now they are moving independently from each other. But that means that we can also delete them, so we are only left with the video footage that we want. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select the clip that we want to play around with, and by selecting it, the effects control will change to reflect this clip. And what we're going to do is we're going to look inside here, and as you can see, I'm just circling around these stopwatches. These stopwatches are very useful for us because they will allow us to incorporate what's known as a keyframe. So this keyframe, as you can see here, is a little dot on our timeline that allows us to show where an effect might start and where it might finish. As you can see, I'm just scrubbing down the timeline here, and I'm going to put an endpoint where I want to change the scale. Now I can click on the little keyframe option here to add a new keyframe, but what I tend to do is just change the value, and that adds the keyframe for me. And as we scrub through this footage, you can see that the computer is automatically changing the scale of the clip. So you can see it almost looks like it's growing the further we get through the clip itself. So if we do the same sort of idea as we've done with the scale, we can do the same with the rotation. So if we click in a keyframe point here, start the stopwatch, we can give it its original rotation of 0. And then about halfway through, we can change the actual value to be something like 180 degrees. And then we're going to scrub down to where we put our last keyframe originally. And we're going to add another 180 degrees to make it a full 360 cycle. We're going to move our CTI back to the same starting point as the other keyframes, and this time we're going to play around with position. So we're going to click on the stopwatch, and that's going to give us our starting point for X and Y axes, and then we're going to scrub through to the same endpoint as the other ones, and we're going to change the X value on the position of this clip. So as you can see, it just moves it over to the right hand side. So as we cycle through and scrub through the actual clip itself, you should be able to see that actually it moves from the middle to the right hand side with a small rotation, and it gets smaller. Now if we wanted to undo, we can click on the little undo option for us if there was an issue. Now what we can do is we can change the opacity of our clip. So if we go again back to where we started all the other keyframes, we can set the opacity of the actual clip to be 0, and then we can make it so by a certain point it's fully viewable to the user, and the computer will obviously make it go from not there to being there with all of the cycles between. Now if you look on the toolbar itself, you can see that we have this long yellow line. This means that this clip has not been fully rendered yet, and that we should see when we play it a few jutters and jitters here and there. So what we need to do is render this clip. So in order to do that, we need to click on sequence, and we need to do render in to out. Now, depending on the computer that you've got and the amount of clips that you might have in your sequence, and also the quality of the footage you're using, the rendering process can take some time. As you can see here, I've sped it up a little bit so that you can see the process itself. But once you render a clip, you should notice that the green bar slowly starts to work its way up the yellow. Now, if you have a red area, that might mean that it can't actually preview the clip itself in an unrendered form. That might be that you've got some additional features or functions or graphics effects on top of your original clips. So you will need to render this to see it work. So once the render's done, the bar will be green, and when you play the actual clip, you'll notice that it runs smoothly with all of the animation and the effects running as you would expect them to. So thanks for watching this one, guys. As you can see, we've actually got some edits going on for hardware, which links into some college courses and units. So keep an eye on the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.